You're listening to Comic Reflections, episode 22. I'm Nicholas Prom.
And I'm Spencer Valadez.
All right. So, Spencer, webcomic of the week?
Yes, we have one.
Yes.
Finally.
Finally. We only missed one.
What was it?
Maybe two? Okay.
Okay. So webcomic this week is called A Little Too Close to Home. It's about brother and sister, and they called it a civil rivalry 20 years in the making. And so it's
Civil rivalry or sibling?
Sibling. Sorry. Civil. That's
Civil rivalry? Like, what?
Sibling rivalry.
That makes sense now. Okay.
20 years in the making. So brother and sister live together. They get into shenanigans. They're both very sarcastic to each other. It's pretty funny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the artist is M. Neen, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And words by John Neen.
E-M. M.
Yeah, M. E-M. M.
Okay.
John
Neen. So is it Emily Neen and John Neen?
Maybe.
Maybe they're brother and sister.
Maybe.
Okay.
Really funny comic. It's on WordPress, so it's a little too close to home, but it's a little, the number 2, close, the number 2, home. So a little too close to home. It's fun.
.wordpress.com.
.wordpress.com.
Okay.
It's released every Sunday, and once in a while during the week they'll have extra stuff. And yeah, it's great. They're fun. He loves Lucky Charms.
Who doesn't?
I saw that in a bunch of the ones that I read. So
Fun.
yeah.
Well, groovy.
Yeah, fun thing. Check it out.
Okay.
It's always fun to support comics in any form.
Yeah.
So do it.
It's a wonderful medium. Sequential art. What a beautiful medium.
Yeah.
So I know on the last episode, Spencer, I said, hey, next time we'll do an overview of all of Zero Month and whatever. But
Yeah.
I really got thinking in between. I was like, we talked about the books we liked.
We did.
It just seems like a bit redundant and a bit tedious, and I think we can skip that. We do have a few more Zero issues this week, and I think there might be a couple more stragglers in the next episode. I'm not sure, but yes,
We are finally moving out of the DC Zero Month frenzy of comics.
Yeah, it was a lot of books.
Yeah,
and we didn't even read them all, but we did a big chunk.
We did,
and
it gives us a good background into those stories.
Yeah.
And if there's crossovers in any way, we'll understand a little bit. So
yeah,
I'm always down for it. I hope it's not a regular thing.
Oh, like that kind of thing?
Yeah.
No, it's a bit much. But it's a good jump-in point for if you're curious about books. And there were definitely some ones I'm like, that's going on my pull list now.
Yeah.
The ones that I was thinking about, and now I'm definitely for sure. So,
Right. I got to jump into a couple new books, and I'm very excited about all of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, let's get going with that.
All right. So the first Zero Month book we have is Batgirl.
Yeah.
So Barbara Gordon.
Babs.
Yeah. Getting...
No, this is... Well, the story is, yes, before her crippling from the Joker.
Right.
Yeah, but I think in the current continuity, she's gotten better. She walks again now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy, being able to be paralyzed and then not paralyzed.
Yeah. Well.
Cool story. I mean, it felt like a Batman book.
Plus, Batman's in it.
Yeah.
I was like, don't whisper on the show. I'm like, that's not gonna pick up.
Right.
Okay. But plus Batman's in it, so yay.
Yeah, It's a cool origin story, especially for the Batman series, because with Batman you always get a lot of the I'm orphaned kind of thing. So you get a lot of that with Robin. You get, obviously with Batman.
Yeah.
But she.
It's a different area. She's her dad's a cop, and she's
Yeah.
It's different stuff.
Yeah. She gets to put on a cool costume.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, and takes down some bads, and I think she realizes I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And
she seems to get a little some approval from Batman.
Yeah.
Who will just say he's in the story.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was cool.
I love Batman's approval because it's like dismissive approval.
Well, because he gives it so rarely,
right,
that it means something when he says, "Oh, you're in, you're all right." So, So yeah.
Staying with the Batman universe.
Just the Bat books, whatever you
Right.
want to say. Yeah, but Catwoman.
Yeah, number
Catwoman.
0.
Written by Ann Nocenti, who I remember from the 80s working over at Marvel Comics.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. But yeah, we'll talk about this.
Okay.
So.
I didn't know much about Selena Kyle.
Yeah.
Just because it's
and this is another New 52 read. Let's do a different take, but this is kind of like her old origin. I mean, it's been changed a couple times, even in before. So
right. I always love these characters who aren't good guys, but they're not bad.
The anti-hero.
Yeah, I love the anti-hero.
Yeah. But I mean, she's going to be in the new Justice League book, so that's pretty good, guy.
Yeah, apparently.
If you're in the league, I guess you're good. So.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. Not something I'd probably pick up regularly.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pick it up just during the death of the family story arc that's coming up.
And I mean, just one-off touches of it will be fine.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, we'll get our Catwoman fix in Justice League.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's like, I'm not picking up Green Arrow, I'm not picking up Hawkman. Oh, but I'll get to read them in that book, in Justice League of America. It's February, cannot come soon enough. I'm dying to read that book. So, yes, we got Demon Knights.
Yeah.
From Zero Month. It's the story of Etrigan and Jason Blood.
Yep.
And hooray, because I really like those. Another fun character from created by Jack Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
What was you had no previous experience with Etrigan.
Yeah.
So
I'd seen him in, I think, a cartoon at some point. I don't remember what it was.
I know I saw him on an episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Okay.
The one where he and Green Arrow go back in time to the land of King Arthur, and with Merlin and Morgan Le Fay and stuff, and Jason Blood and Etrigan are there as well.
Right.
So that's cool.
But yeah, I didn't know anything about it. I thought it was clever with Lucifer being just dismissive
and the rhyming.
Yeah,
that's
get that really.
That's always been the deal with Etrigan.
Okay.
Since his inception, rhyming. So.
Okay. But then he had this awesome battle with trying to kind of lead like a new hell army against Lucifer. And, but I didn't know that Merlin and that kind of
they had a relationship there. Yeah, I mean, and I didn't. It's not like I'm the expert on this character, but I've read some things, I've seen some things, and it's a cool concept. I think this is being executed pretty well. If this Zero issue is any indicator, I'm not continuing because I'm like, I got a lot of books, but this is one that I would be curious to pick up, again in the future.
I would say wait for the trades in the library.
Yeah. Okay.
For us.
Sure.
For you, if you love this stuff, get it. It's not a good book.
Yeah. So
we picked up Talon, number 0.
Yeah, and so it's coming off of the Court of Owls, big storyline that was happening in the Bat books a couple months ago, and this guy is a Talon from an agent of the Owls.
Kind of like their assassin.
Yeah. And it was so funny. This book landed in my box. It wasn't on my pull list. It was as a suggestion, and I left it, and then I came back for it. Because I was like, no sidekick books, no ancillary back character books. I really kind of wanted, even though, for my regular picks, I'm like, But, Scott Snyder wrote it, and this was an excellent read. I had fun with it. It's this kid, he's an orphan, and becomes a scape artist in the circus, and then is trained to become a talent.
Right.
I've seen other places kind of describe it as, well, this is cool, but it kind of feels like Nightwing light. Very Dick Grayson-y, and I'm like, well, this is cool. I'm probably not going to pick it up, but if I was really if I was all about the Bat books and that whole kind of sub set, I would definitely be picking it up.
If you really like the Court of Owl stuff, pick this up.
Yeah, that was a cool storyline.
Yeah.
So yeah, Talon, definitely worth checking. At least borrow it, and maybe from somebody to see if you're like, oh, you know what, that's a series I want to read.
Yeah.
So,
So one of my picks was Justice League Dark.
Yeah.
I'd seen it on the shelves a
As
bunch
had
of
I.
times, and I'm like, that looks interesting. I don't know anything about John Constantine. I don't know really Zatanna or
Well, Dead Man, but
oh yeah, Dead Man.
oh, I love Dead Man, and as much as I love Dead Man and Zatanna too, I just kept ignoring that book.
Right.
And this was fun. This was an origin. It really focused on John Constantine and Zatanna together. But I thought it was pretty neat. I mean, what do you?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I added it to my pull list for the next upcoming issues.
Oh, good.
Because I read The Brightest Day.
And and Boston Brand was all over that.
Boston Brand is all over it, and I loved it.
Yeah, I love Dead Man.
I thought he was super rad, so I knew that he was going to be in the Justice League Dark, so I was like, I'll start picking it up. And this was a great issue for me because I kind of knew Dead Man's history, but John Constantine and Zatanna, I didn't really know. And so this was a good insight into them.
Yeah.
And so I have kind of a broader look, and that'll help me with the next upcoming issues.
If Justice League Dark ends up getting canceled, I would love to see Dead Man and Zatanna make their way into one of the other Justice League titles.
Oh, yeah.
And that'd be awesome. But it's like, I also kind of feel, and we'll talk about their books later, I'm like, how come Swamp Thing and Animal Man aren't in Justice League Dark?
Yeah.
It seems like they would really fit in with that like kind of more occultish kind of heroes. But
because of the totems and the
Parliament
of trees.
Parliament of trees. Yeah, so, I mean, we'll talk about that later. Yeah. So,
we were finished with the 0 month for this.
We may have a couple. I think we do for next issue, but next episode. But for now, no more 0 months.
We are almost done with it. We promise. There's just a lot of books.
It's okay to come back for those on the wall at your shop. You're like, I got a little room in my my budget this weekend. I'll pick up one of those 0 issues. So
and the marketing for this was just perfect.
It really was. They had a staggered release, so it wasn't like, all coming out.
Yeah.
And it was good that they replaced the regular monthly issues, because it was like, do you really want to buy twice as many?
Right.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So we're still in the DCU.
Yeah.
But we're moving into
the Before Watchmen books. We got Rorschach, #2.
Yeah.
Man, Brian Azzarello. I was like, the first issue was pretty much like right on. I had a couple like minor, like, I don't know if that's really how Rorschach would talk, but this was great. This was just excellent. I mean, I really enjoy it.
This is my favorite of the Before Watchmen books.
Is it now?
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you thought you knew who Rorschach was when you read Watchmen.
Yeah.
And this, you're like, you understand the characters so much better when you read these.
Yeah.
These are just such a great asset to that Watchmen classic.
Yeah, and it's so weird to see a guy who has no real connection to people.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have relationships, but yet he has tenuous ones with people in his, hero community, like, with Night Owl. But those kind of things are kind of shaky. The relationship he does have are real, they're not deep connections. Mm-hmm. But yet he is fighting crime for this greater good that he can't ever be a part of. It's like he's fighting a losing battle.
Yeah.
It's like every day is like a sacrifice. Like he's putting himself out there, like, I don't care if I die.
Right.
Because, whatever. So there's no compromise on these ideals that he has, but even if he were to achieve his ultimate goals, which he couldn't enjoy them. He couldn't enjoy the improved world that he's trying to work towards.
I agree, but I would also add that I think he understands it about himself.
Or does he know that it's oh god.
He goes to the same diner, same time, every day, same seat, knows the waitress, she knows what he gets. And so I think in his eyes that's kind of a relationship there. And so when he's injured, where does he go? He goes to that diner.
Sure.
And he just sits. He doesn't know what to do, and so he's there. So she takes him to the hospital. She does those things that over like a relationship would do.
Right.
And then when he's healed or whatever you want to call it, better, or less hurt, I'll say.
Yeah.
He just kind of takes off, and she comes back for him, looking for him, and so there's relationships there, but I think he's just so callous to what he grew up with his terrible family life,
right?
That it's just broken him in a way that he can't have those real deep relationships.
He can't connect with people, and yet I almost would say he fights this uphill battle that he must somehow know he can never really win, but he can't stop.
Right.
There's a single-mindedness to Rorschach, and it's so perfect that his mask is black and white,
right?
Because there's no gray. He can't compromise. He can't do it, and ultimately it was his downfall.
Yeah. But at the same, he got that redemption with that final with his dive.
Yeah, we're talking about the original Watchmen, of course.
Right.
But yeah, there's a reason that this guy, that if this was a real person, you would think, oh, they're really unlikable. But there's such a fascinating. There's a reason he's people's favorites.
Yeah.
Character in Watchmen. So, and I'm glad this. Azarella's doing a great job with this. If this book stunk, then the glue of the Watchmen books, before Watchmen books, wouldn't be there.
Absolutely.
Rorschach is, people think Watchmen, and he's probably the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really dig it. So, Action Comics number 13.
Yep.
We get a little trip to the Phantom Zone with Crypto. It's like, oh man, are we back in the Silver Age?
Right.
But this is really good. Grant Morrison, who has been disappointing me in other things he's writing. Now this makes sense.
Right. We gave him a really hard time last year.
I know, but I love Grant Morrison. It's like, you know what? Sometimes the people you love the most, you have to give the hardest time.
Right.
You know what I mean, Vern? But no, it's like right on. This is an excellent issue.
Yeah.
You go.
So I love the Phantom Zone. I love, there's just something great about the stories of the boy and his dog.
Sure.
And this was one of those stories, a boy and his dog. It's weird. There's a relationship there that is just incredible, and you see that with Superman and Crypto.
It's beyond words.
It is. I was moved by this book because of Crypto.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even the main story, at all.
Oh, that's right. There was that backup story.
There was a backup story.
But it kind of fleshed out the main story in a really cool way.
Yeah, with Crypto being lost in the Phantom Zone.
And yet he was able to because the Phantom Zone was kind of overlapping somehow with our world.
Right.
Crypto could follow Superman in this ghost form that no one... Superman never saw him, but he was always there. So wild.
And he was always right by his side. And so when Superman was able to pull him out of that Phantom Zone.
Yeah. I think it's cool.
Yeah. Great story.
Really enjoyable. And way to come in and make Crypto relevant and not corny.
Yeah.
I've read a lot of those Silver Age stories with Crypto. And there's some real dorky stuff.
He just looks like a little Cocker Spaniel.
Yeah, and this dog looks like a wolf.
Yeah. It could do some damage.
Yeah. So... This was definitely a really cool issue. I'm really liking Action Comics now. So
the cool thing about this was that we had a cameo.
Oh, from the Phantom Stranger. Because he travels through all realms, so of course he could just show up. In the Phantom Zone.
And his #1 comes out next week, and I am so excited.
Man, his Zero issue was probably the best of Zero Month. It was just not even just of new books coming out, new titles. But that one was just really excellent. Yeah. And I really hope we get to see the Spectre in his book a lot, too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That was so awesome. That was what a wonderful surprise.
Right.
So, yeah, Action Comics is excellent, and Phantom Stranger is coming up soon. I'm really excited to read that as well.
Yeah. So, we have 2 books here. I don't know where the other one went.
I put it down.
Do we want to talk about them together?
Yeah, that's probably good.
So we have Swamp Thing, number 13, and Animal Man, number 13.
Yeah.
And the stories, it's the Rot World kind of series.
Yeah, and each of these are the first part of... in Animal Man, it's Rot World, the Red Kingdom, part 1, and then over in Swamp Thing, it's the Green Kingdom, part 1.
And so each have the totems of the green and the red.
Right. Each of them are the totem of the Code
Right.
But and they're fighting against the Rot, which is of course Anton Arcane is the avatar of the Rot. It's weird because this feels like we're coming in like this has already happened, but I feel like this weird alternate world where they bailed to go fight Arcane or something and came back and he had won and like taken over the world basically, with a few last vestiges of life.
Right, and they said that they went into the Rot and they felt like they were only there a couple hours, but a year had passed.
Right,
and terrible things happened to family.
Yeah, and so Scott Snyder is writing Swamp Thing, and Jeff Lemire, who is writing some other books right now, I can't remember, is writing Animal Man. Now, I think they're working together to put together a really cool... Oh, Jeff Lemire is writing Justice League Dark.
Yeah.
Anyway, to put together this really cool, like, alternate reality where I'm not sure if it's a different Earth or if it's this Earth and they're going to be able to correct this by going back in time or something. But really cool concept, kind of like end of the world thing, or things are definitely very bleak.
Right.
I'll let you talk. Sorry.
Well, my thing, because I love Green Lantern in kind of any of his forms, even the Alan Scott, he's like in this. We're gonna get to it, I think, with the
over in Earth 2, but
Earth 2. Is this not Earth 2?
What are you talking about? We're talking about
right. No, is this our Animal Man Swamp Thing on Earth 2? Or are they?
This is Earth 1.
Okay, so I'm just completely confused.
Over in that book, yes, Grundy who's the avatar of the Rot, and that's kind of happening over there.
Okay,
it's a different
All right.
setup. So that's not connected to this storyline.
Okay.
The Rot World.
So I was wondering, like, how are these going to fit together, and if they were...
They're not.
They're not.
Think of them as parallels.
Okay.
Okay.
So, with Swamp Thing, we got Deadman.
Yeah.
That's always excellent.
Yeah, I'm like, sign me up. Deadman and Poison Ivy are kind of his folks he meets up with.
And, I mean, it mentioned that with the rot happening, it was rotting everything. It wasn't just rotting superheroes. Villains had to stand up and be like, okay, if I want to take over the world...
Well, right, it's all living things.
Yeah, and so...
which makes Arcane like this like ultimate force of evil.
Right.
And it's a shame you haven't got to read any of the original Swamp Thing stuff, because when Anton Arcane shows up, it's a big deal, and he's like the nemesis to Swamp Thing, so it's really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, Swamp Thing, like, I never really thought about him prior to you picking up these books.
Oh man.
And so now I'm disappointed in myself because cool story.
I highly recommend going and reading the Swamp Thing Dark Genesis, which is like the first 10 or 12 issues, written by Len Wein and art by Bernie Wrightson.
Okay.
And then all of Alan Moore's run is collected in trades.
Right.
And that's incredible stuff. That elevates comics to a whole new level. I mean, it's really... The 80s were a really exciting time for literary, comics becoming a very literary form, serious. And Alan Moore is, one of those guys who just... There's a reason people revere him so much.
Right.
No matter what you think of the guy.
Right.
So
let's jump over to...
Animal Man.
Animal Man.
He fights some dead, rotten version of Hawkman.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
Gross.
It is gross. This is a gross book, I have to say.
Yeah. And we're all worried about his family because we keep getting snapshots of them, and then just terrible stuff happens to him.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we don't want to give it away.
Right.
So, read the book, and you'll know.
And
basically.
Okay. Are we done with those?
Yeah. Okay. Good books. I enjoyed them.
Yeah.
And we got the 0 issues of each, so...
Yeah. So those were fun.
Yeah.
So, Detective Comics, number 13. New creative team on this book. I think that's right. It's either this one or the Dark Knight has a new creative team. But anyway, really cool. New story arc with the Penguin.
Oh right, is this the one with the bridges?
The bridges? What the hell are you talking about?
No, it's not. Okay.
The bridges of Madison County.
No,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Bridges being blown up and yeah, I don't remember.
You're killing me, man.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't know what I was reading then.
I don't know. But anyway, yeah, Batman Detective Comics.
I need a refresher here.
Anyway, somebody puts a hit on Wayne.
Right. Okay.
Oh, the Penguin puts a hit on Bruce Wayne.
Right.
And the Hitman's like, oh, I got Batman on sights. And like, nope.
Yeah.
We'll deal with Batman later.
But I mean, then Penguin just kind of pulls like a kind of a douchebag move and like puts up more money to a foundation than Wayne did and gets his name up on.
Yeah, Cobblepot's trying to like make Bruce Wayne look bad or just make himself this important guy.
Right.
I'm like, whatever. Cool read.
Yeah.
We're not making it sound very cool.
We're not.
But it is cool.
Yeah. I don't remember Gordon being in this, unless that's not Gordon. No, that's not Gordon. That's the assassin.
Who are you referring to? Because this is not a visual show.
Oh, right.
On the cover,
there's a guy in a trench coat who's
right.
I mean, typically that's Gordon.
Right.
Typically. But it's not. It's someone else. Yeah, I don't remember this book very much at all.
Well, I guess it wasn't so special for you, but
no.
I thought it was a cool read. Good Batman.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's Batman, so I mean.
Yay!
Yeah.
Can't go too wrong. I thought it was good. So,
let's do Earth 2 now.
Yeah, Earth 2. Man, this is one of my favorite books, and it's just more Justice Society things happening all the time.
Absolutely.
We got Sandman and allusions to Red Tornado, and I think there was somebody else too.
He's not put together yet.
Yeah, yeah. There was one other original Justice Society person kind of alluded to. I'm like, oh yes,
yeah.
So I'm really excited that this is going to be the Justice Society book.
Yeah,
really, really love that. And that battle with Grundy is continuing. And Alan Scott is great. He's showing himself to be a leader. He's a cool Green Lantern. I like how, for some reason, he has super strength. And it seems like the ring, he doesn't really know about making constructs yet, or if that's even it. It might be just manipulating green energy like a blast kind of thing. So it's a little different. But
they did talk about constructs, and so he's just not been using them.
Yeah, well, because he just got the ring, so... Right. Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, with the first couple issues, it was it was a lot of the Jay Garrick Flash, and then some Hawk Girl, and then I feel like it's just been building up, and it's been building to this awesome story between them and Grundy.
Yeah.
Alan Scott, he has to make a sacrifice, and that really comes towards the end of the story, and then you're like, wait, no, come on, great cliffhanger. This book, it always feels like it's taking way too long to come out.
Well, and it reads real quick. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Even though this one wasn't as bad as the last monthly one prior to the Zero show, as far as oh man, over already.
Yeah,
this one is a little more wordy, and I'm glad, but I really, really enjoy this book. It's one of my favorite comics out there. Earth 2. And plus, it's only $2.99, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, one of my favorite books isn't $3.99.
A lot of the DC books have been doing the $2.99, and it's just been great. Because you get 4 books for $12. That's
exactly.
Not bad.
That's not bad at all. We as box holders, we get a nice little discount, but seriously. Yeah.
Yeah. $2.99 books are awesome.
Marvel has some too, so it's not just DC.
Right.
But
yeah.
I wish books weren't $3.99, but oh well.
Right.
So, new Batman book came out this week.
Right.
There's a new title. It's Legends of the Dark Knight. And these were originally digital onlys.
Okay.
And now they're seeing print.
I remember
this. Is an anthology book now.
Right.
So this had 3 short Batman stories in it. And let's talk about these a little bit.
Yeah. Because we get to talk about Alfred.
Yeah, and I don't want to give away the title because it'll just throw it off, but I felt the weird art aside. Jeff Lemire is the artist on this, but we're familiar with him writing other things.
Yeah.
He's very Keith Giffen in that way, writing stuff, drawing stuff. But anyway, I didn't feel like this first story really rang true for Batman. Because it was like Bruce Wayne having this pride and this attitude, acting like he was better than people, like literally, like saying kind of things like that. And that's like, just didn't feel like Batman at all.
Right.
I mean, so.
But it didn't feel like Batman, maybe because of this experience.
Maybe. I mean, but.
You know, he kind of learned his lesson.
But I feel like he's already Batman, and he's copying this attitude. It's like, this should have been like worn out of you when you were off in the Far East training the martial arts. So I didn't buy it.
Okay.
I didn't buy that first story. I mean, I bought the comic, but you know what I mean. It just didn't feel right to me.
Right.
But
I enjoyed it because we got to hang out with Alfred a little bit.
You and Alfred. I like Alfred too. The second story was this one, Batman fighting Amazo up on the satellite. Oh my gosh, J.G. Jones, who's doing the art over on The Comedian.
Oh, okay.
Beautiful art.
Yeah.
And it's just the Bat and Amazo and alone in space.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And what does Batman bring to the table? He brings his incredible strategic brain.
Yeah.
And Amazo can't just copy that, you know, like because it's so random. He can copy the super speed. He can copy the laser eyes. He can copy, or the heat vision. Excuse me. The strength. He can copy all that.
Yeah.
But you can't just dive into someone's brain and just know everything. And that's what Batman brings to the table.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
Yeah. And the third story was this one's called The Crime Never Committed. I can't remember what that one with Amazo was called. Oh, it's called All of the Above. But
right.
Anyway, this was a fun story. I really liked it. It was kind of Batman and Robin. And I'm not sure if this is New 52 continuity because it looks like the old Tim Drake, but who is Red Robin in New 52, who was never Robin.
It doesn't say.
It didn't say. It could be Damian, but it could be Tim. But it really felt like I was reading a Tim Drake story. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if these are really necessarily New 52 Batman stories.
Right.
But what they are good.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, there are some books out there that I kind of think of as non-essentials. Usually anthology books that are either, anthology books I tend to think of as non-essential.
Right.
But also it's kind of like, it's nice to be able to just get a book and it's one and done.
Yeah.
Or it's, I got a few stories in here. That's really cool.
Yeah.
This is an exception and I really like it.
Yeah.
We had another anthology book to talk about later too on the show. But Marvel's got one coming up in the Marvel Now, A+X. And I think each month is going to be 2 standalone, 1 X-Man, 1 Avenger team-up stories.
Okay.
And I'm curious about that book.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're wanting to like have titles that you can just get and not need to have all this big storyline, you want to come in easy. These are some cool books like that, and I'm glad that they exist. Mm-hmm. Legends of the Dark Knight. If you're like, gosh, you want to get it, you just want to be able to buy a Bat book and not whatever. This is one.
Absolutely.
This is the one to go with.
Absolutely.
And it was good, and you're going to get different writers and artists every time. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's also cool.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's all our DC books for this episode.
Yeah. We move into Marvel.
Got a few.
Yeah. We have The Amazing Spider-Man, number 695.
Oh, man. And finally we get back. We're done with that Alpha sideline and back into that Hobgoblin story arc that we were all excited for.
Yeah.
And then we had to wait 3 issues.
Yeah.
But I think it was worth the wait.
Right.
I
was going to say that the last 3 issues wasted my time because I wanted this story so bad.
Let's see, but I enjoyed those last 3 issues. They were fun.
Yeah.
Especially that first of the 3 that had it was like the double size with all the extra stories.
Oh yeah.
That was really fun. Yeah. The anniversary issue.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I understand we thought we were gonna get Hobgoblin and then we get this thing.
Dumb kid.
Yeah. No. But this is cool. You want to talk about this?
Yeah. So we have
Spidey.
Spidey, but
sorry,
I can never remember her name.
Who? Madam Web.
Madam Web.
Yeah, and she was the second not cool Spider-Woman, the one that sucked. Sorry, Julie Carpenter or whatever her name was. I didn't like her. I didn't like that Spider-Woman. Okay. I liked Jessica Drew.
Okay.
To me, Julie Carpenter was like, okay, you're a single mom and a superhero and a federal agent or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so Madam Web, she's having these crazy psychic visions of just terribleness coming.
Yeah.
Her demise, basically.
Of her own?
Yeah.
Oh man, that so rings true of like the original Madam Web.
Right.
She thought the classic, Spidey and nothing can stop the Juggernaut storyline.
Mm.
Anyway.
Right. So she's having these things, and then Kingpin is like trying to set up so they can get rid of Spidey for good.
Yeah.
They come up with this like machine that sends out a frequency that'll mess up his
spider sense. Which sounds like crap, but somebody at Horizon Labs, where Peter works, is kind of working with the Kingpin, and Spidey's starting to get wind of that.
Right.
And you've got the Hobgoblins causing trouble for Spidey, and of course the original Hobgoblin, or I don't know who that is now, because that's a whole long storied thing, but is coming back to want to take out this Pretender. So excitement.
Yeah. The machine sends the Spidey sense into overdrive.
Oh, that's right.
Which was kind of cool. Like, if you want to mess up Spider-Man, go for that. Like, that would be my idea, is like, make him sense everything at once, and it'll overload him.
Right. It is almost like, hey, Daredevil, how do you handle this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wonder if we'll get a guest appearance from Daredevil.
That would be so cool.
Because they are pals.
They are.
That would be really rad if we get... It seems like I know a few issues before we started reading... Actually, right before we started reading Daredevil, there was a Spider-Man a guest appearance in the previous arc.
Oh, yeah?
So, I don't think it's never too soon to have a Spidey and Daredevil team.
Absolutely.
I really would love to have that happen. It just seems like it would make sense. Especially with multiple Hobgoblins and Kingpin going on. Kingpin, it's a shoo-in to bring in Daredevil.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Speaking of Kingpin,
if
we're done with this book, we can jump into the Daredevil End of Days book.
Oh, you just want to... Okay, we'll move on from Spidey and we'll talk about Daredevil. Oh.
1 of 8.
1 of 8. Brian Michael Bendis' return to Daredevil with this limited series. And this is basically the end, the How They Die storyline with Daredevil. But it's so good. Our POV character is, of course... blah, blah. Why am I blanking? You need to talk so I don't dead air.
Right, it's the...
Ben Urich, who was the classic supporting character in Daredevil, his friend at the Daily Bugle. Really nice to see Bendis writing Daredevil again. Yeah. That's one of the books I'm like right on.
Yeah, so we have this story of the Daredevil one. It starts off with him with his death, basically.
With art by Klaus Janson and Bill Sienkiewicz.
Oh.
It's a very impressive team they've got on here.
Right.
Bendis is co-writing this with David Mack, but I'll let you talk. It's just enjoyable.
So we come into this with the fight between
Bullseye and Daredevil.
Bullseye and Daredevil, and
this is the fight that ends Matt.
Right. He's done.
Yeah.
And so we kind of jump forward a little ways into.
We're learning what's gone before through flashbacks, which is really cool.
Right. Yeah.
And remembrances, like Matt killed the Kingpin because he just finally said it's the only way I can get rid of him.
Right. And honestly,
which doesn't feel like him. It's like what pushed him that far.
Yeah.
So you would think that he would have had his breaking point because Kingpin had destroyed his life before. So
that kind of reminded me of what happens when Batman kills the Joker. When he finally kills the Joker. What's that going to look like? And I think this will happen with that. Batman will be destroyed.
Right.
Like his character, everything will be destroyed.
Yeah.
So this is a cool book. Yeah. I'm excited for the next 7 issues.
Well, sure. That kind of reminds me of in The Dark Knight Returns, when Batman kills the Joker, and then it just starts to hit the fan
right.
It's everything is going to come to an end because, people are not going to look the other way or anymore. So anyway,
so a subsidiary of Marvel is
the Icon imprint, and it's basically Mark Miller's baby. They're just like, here, do what you want, and we'll print it.
Right. And Hit Girl #3.
Yeah. Excellent.
So good.
Yeah.
I'm loving these Hit Girl books. I saw Kick-Ass 2 in the store, and I really wanted to pick it up, but money's short,
I mean,
so.
You're right. I mean, it'll exist. It's going to be in print.
Right.
Because the movie is being made now.
Uh-huh.
They're starting filming very, very soon. In the next couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah.
But this takes place between that and Kick-Ass 2, so that's perfect. But yeah, I mean, Mark Miller and John Romita Jr. are a match made in heaven.
Right.
I'm so glad to just every time to see this book. It's just really a load of fun.
Yeah. So she finally gets sick and tired of the mean girls at school.
I know.
And takes her revenge and becomes alpha dog. Of the school, basically.
Yeah.
By taking out the mean girl.
Yeah. Not killer, by the way.
Well, no.
Okay.
And so it's interesting because in the
and that's in the Mindy
right
subplot, and then there's also as Hit Girl, she's going after these mobsters, and Kick-Ass is injured, so she's gonna go on this outing solo, and blah blah.
So my thought was, it was interesting to me because as Mindy in this issue, she won the fight.
Yeah.
As Hit Girl,
she's in trouble.
Yeah. And so the roles have kind of like reversed, like
because she always has it together as Hit Girl.
Right.
So yeah, I see what you're saying. It's an inversion of how she is, and I think it's kind of like indicative of the changes of growing up because she's a kid, and so in a way it's speaking to that through this comic book story. I like that.
Yeah. It's called OMG, which is funny.
Oh yeah, that's funny too.
Good book.
Yeah.
Digging it.
Yep. So we got this fun little freebie one-shot.
Yeah.
It's the Marvel's got these series of graphic novels, season 1. And they've already put them out, versions for the X-Men and Daredevil and the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man. And this next wave of them is going to be Ant-Man, the Hulk, and Doctor Strange. And we got a preview, a few pages from each of those in this book.
Right.
What do you want to say about this?
I really dug Ant-Man.
Me too. I think there's a reason that's the lead in this little book here.
It was a lot of fun.
And I think that's Bill Foster there as his lab assistant. Bill Foster later becomes Black Goliath.
Okay. So yeah, like he runs into trouble because his helmet's not working right.
Because he's still developing it. And so he's in an anthill and he's got to fight his way.
Sorry.
Oh.
Okay. So it's fun. He's in trouble, and then they finally get the frequency correct, and
good.
The
part with the Hulk
was interesting,
but it feels like we're a little like, okay, we got to read this because remember these are just little excerpts from the graphic novel, so the setup isn't there, but it's cool. I mean,
I thought we were gonna get the Bruce Banner like story,
and I'm sure that's probably in there, but this is him on the run from fighting AIM agents, and something involved with them. I think they're surprise AIM advanced idea mechanics have got some bad juju going, and so there's that.
Yeah, picks up a kid with a weird square in his head.
Yeah,
this was my least favorite.
The Doctor Strange.
Yeah, it seemed really weird.
Well, Doctor Strange is weird. I mean, this isn't Steve Ditko. This is a different, kind of artist. So, I thought it was interesting. It was the one that I enjoyed the least of the three. Right. But I bet sitting and reading the thing, I would probably dig it.
Right.
I think these are going to be fun.
Yeah. Like you said, it's an excerpt, and so it's probably not the beginning of the storyline, and so. Right. I love the beginning of the storyline. I like jumping in from the beginning.
Right.
I think you know that about me a little bit. But,
yeah.
And so maybe if I read this from the beginning, I'll enjoy it more.
Yeah. But it seems pretty cool. At least the other two are neat. Gosh, because you know how much I love Daredevil. I'm really curious about just going and checking out that Daredevil season 1.
Yeah, definitely.
I read an excerpt, a free comic book day, preview of Spider-Man season 1. Didn't wow me.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think this is a cool thing that Marvel's doing. This will be a fun, little set of books.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if they come out with a Captain America.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
The cool thing about this book is that it's free at a comic shop near you.
That's right. You just ask them for the Marvel Season 1 guide, and they'll just give it to you.
Always check out the free books because they're fun.
Yeah.
So we're going to dive into IDW with the Star Trek Next Generation Doctor Who crossover, Assimilation Squared.
That's right. So we're up to issue number 5 now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we get the classic line. It's bigger on the inside.
Oh, of course, because that's right. Because Picard gets to visit the TARDIS,
right,
which is really cool.
And so we get this awesome discussion between Amy and Picard, and about how,
Oh, that's right, because they want to try. The Doctor suggests an alliance with the Borg to defeat the Cybermen, but Picard is like, "No way! These guys kidnapped me and used me to try and destroy the Federation." His hatred of the Borg will not let him, go with the only option.
And so the Doctor decides, you know what? I'm going to show him what's up then. He takes him to different planets. He takes him to...
the possible future, of what's going to happen to the Federation if they don't do this. Mm-hmm. So things are really going to start heating up, I think, in this book. I mean, now we're over halfway through the series. Mm-hmm. I think the next couple issues are going to be
pretty intense.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. So yeah, I've been enjoying this.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in the art again though. It just still seems fairly sloppy.
I feel
compared to the first couple books
that they want. I feel that it's this painted art, and I feel that they're probably pressuring the artist, and it does look a bit rushed.
Yeah.
It'll do, but yeah, the first couple issues were really beautiful, and then you noticed by issue 3 or 4 that the art was kind of going downhill. Right. So, but at least they've got it out on time every time, I think.
So that was our IDW book.
Yeah, just that one.
Yeah. So now we're jumping into Dark Horse.
Yeah, we'll wrap up a couple more books. So, I picked up Creepy, number 10, and I hadn't bought an issue of Creepy in a while. It's the revival of this great horror anthology book from the 60s and 70s.
Right.
And this was an all kind of a homage to H.P. Lovecraft issue.
Yeah.
And you said you've never read any H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with him.
You have failed me for the last time again.
This was just so weird
to
me. I mean, there were a couple stories in here really interesting. This first one with the dream, maybe?
Yeah.
Was weird.
And I loved it. It's by Doug Munch and, art by Kelly Jones, who I love Kelly Jones. There's a few one-pagers by the great Peter Bagg.
Yeah. And they're funny.
Who was, of course, known for Hate comics, which are really cool. It's a great indie book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's funny. And so I enjoyed that.
They did reprinted a classic story from the original Creepy. No.
Oh, okay.
Not that one. But
I enjoyed the mint and package one. I thought
that was fun. It's I think I know people like that.
Yeah.
It's just that is mint in box.
Yeah.
But and of course and a great news story with Richard Corbin on art. And which is the last story in the book. Oh, okay. And I really like that, and it's cool because he had stories in the old Creepy from the 70s. So,
right.
This is a fun book. It's an anthology. You get some standalone horror stories. It's kind of a catch-22. If you want to have a series that you pick up regularly, but you don't want to be bogged down by continuity, these anthologies are really the ticket,
Yeah.
So, yeah. Those are some good ones.
Yeah, definitely.
So did you enjoy this much?
Yeah. There were stories in it that I did enjoy. I enjoyed the rats in the castle. I can't remember what.
Oh, the rats in the walls.
Rats in the walls. I thought that was creepy and good.
Yeah.
And
that's an oldie, but yeah.
And the mentioned package and the last story was
fun. The Illuminations of Charity Wallace. Yeah. I like that a lot because I love Richard Corbin, and it was a well-written story by John Arcudi. I hope I'm saying it right. Yeah, it's good. I'm glad the Dark Horse has got this book out. I am kind of why haven't I been picking it up? Because it's really good.
Right.
So yeah, plus I got art by Kelly Jones and Richard Corbin, two of my favorites. So yay!
So let's talk about 3 comics.
Well, yeah.
Still from Dark Horse.
Yes. The last issue, the final issue of this limited series just came out this last Wednesday. And I just said, you know what, I had read an issue of this before, the last issue of the previous limited series. And I said, I saw they were all three were there. I'm like, I'm getting it.
Right.
Got it. This is Axe Cop, President of the World. And
by Malachi Nicole.
And Ethan Nicole.
Art by Ethan Nicole, yeah.
Brother Malachi is like 6 or 7 now.
Yeah.
Basically, the plots are essentially come up with by the little brother, and then his adult brother illustrates it.
Right.
So
and it's
total stream of consciousness, like from a child's imagination.
Yeah.
It's just pee your pants hilarious.
Okay? Oh yeah,
that's just
yeah.
I love Axe Cop.
And you can sometimes tell things that have influenced him, and so they'll like dive into the story a little bit. It's just great. At one point he prays to God, and God just makes it happen.
Yeah.
You know, like, and so total plot change, and you're like,
yeah,
okay, I'll go with it.
Cool. You know, it's so wonderful to read something that's just this fun.
Yeah. Our books are fun, and they're fun to read, and they're cool, but this is just, I want to laugh, and this is it. This will do it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not crazy about, like, you're not going to get me to read Mad Magazine or anything anymore.
Right.
You know, so humor comics are kind of a hard sell for me, but man, this is it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a new animated series in 2013 on
is it
Fox.
Really? Excellent.
I really hope that they keep the spirit of this. Honestly, they should just adapt from the comics.
Oh yeah,
because
get a bunch of kids to write.
Well, no, I mean, you don't even need to change anything. It's just to use this script and animate it. Mm-hmm. And I think people will be rolling.
Yeah. Kind of in the vein of like Family Guy.
I'm completely hooked. This is I have to get anything that comes out now with Axe Cop. It's just terrific.
I want everyone to read this, young and old. I think it's clean, like it's a clean comic.
Well, I mean, it's as dirty as like a little kid's mind, like somebody pooped their pants, you know. But aside from that, it's mostly like okay, there's some head choppings, but but it's oh my god, it's so funny. I mean,
and like twists around every.
Everywhere because it's totally like ADD kind of thing. But see, all the descriptors sound like it sounds stupid. No, this is gold. It's gold, Jerry.
Yeah. Pick it up. If you're gonna pick up a book, pick this up this week.
If you don't read Axe Cop, you're a homo. Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, that's all we've got.
That is.
Yeah. So we'll be recording again later this week.
We are, because I'll be picking up more books.
Me too.
All right.
So thanks for listening.
Have a good one.